down at Bournemouth who's a collector. It's a Brownie wireless crystal set, and it came on the market in early 1924, and it has the BBC stroke EBM stamp on it. I've also got this complete with its original box, cardboard box, which has got some rather interesting writing on, which we'll show you, and also the little tiny box with a spare cat's whisker and crystal. The base of this is detachable, and it was sold separately, which I have the base, as you can see. This part came off here and goes back into there, and that was, as I say, sold separately for an extra 1 6, I believe that was. This crystal set is in extremely good condition. I have renovated it. I've had all the metalwork replated, but what is nice about it, that the writing, the transfers are all intact, nothing missing at all. It's extremely nice. The other features on this set are the little shorting link here, which when you remove that, you used to plug in a coil which extended the range of this coil to the long wave band for the time signals which were sent from Chelmsford and also from Paris. The transfers on here, as you can see, are extremely nice. The tuning was achieved by sliding this shorting bar up over the coil, and the contact was made between here and the coil. This is the earth connection on the top here, so what you were doing was virtually shorting the coil down to earth, and that gave it its tuning range. There's a close-up of the detector itself and the little cat's whisker. The headphones are on here and here. As I told you before, that's where the coil went for extending the range to long wave, and the aerial connection was made on this terminal here. It's interesting to note that the picture on the side of this crystal set shows the open crystal detector, which was the model they made in 1923. Well, this is the original box that the crystal set came in, and it's got some rather interesting writing on this, which we'll try and show you. But it's very unusual to find a set of that age in its original car. Well, so here's some of the claims which they've been brave enough to put in writing on here. It says here, this voucher guarantees the Brownie wireless sold herewith to operate under the same conditions and to equal the results obtainable with any crystal receiver retailing up to and including £10. Money will be refunded in full if the Brownie wireless fails to do this and is returned undamaged within 1 month of purchase. Name and address of supplier and the date. And quite a nice little guarantee, that. This is the little box that the base come in, which was sold separately. There we are. There's some of the interesting writing on the box of the base. Well, here's the little box which has got the 2 palladium cat's whisker and the 2 crystals in it. Like a little pill box made of cardboard, but it's very nice to find the whole 3 items, the original box, the box for the base, and also the box they gave you with 2 more spare crystals in. There we are, there's the two pieces of galena that they supplied with the crystal set. The crystal set sold in 1924 for 7 and 6pence. That was the body only. The base was an extra 1 and 6pence. So the total cost of the whole unit, including the two spare crystals, was 9 shillings. Here we have 3 interesting crystal sets made by BTH, British Thomson Houston Limited. The one on the far right is called the Type C Form A, made in 1922. The one in the middle is called the Beiju, and made in 1923, and also made in 1923 was the BTH Radiola 1, Type VC Form B. This one has a valve amplifier incorporated in it. We'll have a close-up look at them, because they're quite an interesting range of sets, these, and they're the only 3 crystal sets, or the type of crystal set, that BTH made. Well, this is the BTH Type C Form A, made in 1922. It has the BBC PMG stamp. Now, they started issuing this in 1922 to show that the equipment was actually approved by the Postmaster General, and it would have a GPO registration number, which we'll show you in a moment. But another interesting thing about this model, I think, is about the first one that come out with 2 crystal detectors, one here and one on this side, 2 adjusters here, and also a switch here for changing them over from crystal 1 to crystal 2. The top part here is a bridge, again, for inserting the long wave coil. You take the bridge out and place a coil in there so that you could receive the time signals from Paris and also from Chelmsford. Aerial connection down here, and the headphones are over here. With this shot you can clearly see the twin crystals, which is rather unique with the BTH crystal sets. You have crystal 1 and crystal 2, and you can probably see the cat's whisker moving about there, and once to place it just gently onto the crystal, then do the same on the other one, and then you could switch to see which is the best reception between the two. This is the tuner control over here, which tuned the range from 300 to 600 meters between 70 and from 0 rather, right over to 180. It depends whereabouts. If you had the Paris coil fitted, the extra long wave coil, where the tuning was, of course, and that's where the switch come in, which I shall show you in a moment, for the different positions. Here's the switch I mentioned, which alters the range. At that point position there, you're covering the medium wave, and also the bottom end of medium wave there. When it was turned to P, that was for Paris, when the other coil was inserted. And in actual fact, what that done was short out the capacitor inside, which we'll show you on the circuit diagram in a moment. There's a picture from a book showing the Paris coil fitted, and also with the BTH headphones, which I have got quite a few pairs of the BTH headphones. Here's the circuit diagram of the BTH Type C, and as you can see, it doesn't have a tuning capacitor, it has a variometer. The aerial comes in here, down through here, and on that switch which we select, which I showed you just now, the S, off, and the P position. In the P position you can clearly see that the capacitor here is shorted out, and the aerial goes directly in onto the variometer. The twin crystals are over here, 1 and 2, with a capacitor across the headphone terminals. Here's a close-up of the BBC stroke PMG stamp, which all these sets manufactured between 22 and 23 had to have this stamp on them to say that they were approved, and that's rather a nice one. Here you can see the BTH trademark, which was used on nearly all their sets, I believe. Well, certainly on all these 3 crystal sets which I have, and probably on a lot of their other products. And that was just underneath the carrying handle on the lid. There we can see the wireless crystal receiver badge, which of course is British Thomson Houston. That's fitted on most of their sets as well. It also gives the serial number of the radio, which is R3037. Well, there we are. That's the BTH Type C. This set sold for £1.15 plus 7 and sixpence BBC royalty, which had to be paid on all crystal sets manufactured between 22 and 24. So that's one of the range. We'll have a look at the next one now, which was manufactured in 1923. Well, this crystal set is the Beiju crystal set by BTH, the middle one which we showed you. And this one sold for £1 plus 1 shilling royalty to the BBC. It's quite a nice little set. In fact, we've had this one going this afternoon, and we'll hook it up later on and let you hear what it sounds like. Of course, unfortunately, in the evening there are so many stations on that we're going to get about 20 stations, as you'll hear shortly. But we'll do a few close-ups on it and let you have a look at some of the features on this particular model. Well, we can see here that the headphones are made on this connection here, the telephones. The earth over here, aerial, and this switch here is to alter the range. It has a tap on the coil inside. It's a variometer tuning on this one. And the crystal is a galena crystal, but it's completely open, called an open galena type crystal. The tuning range of this goes from 300 meters to 450. Right, we'll collect the aerial now on Earth and couple the crystal set directly into the videotape recorder sound input so that we can hear what's going on medium wave. I should imagine at this time of night we're going to get a lot of stations all jumbled up together. When I listened to this set earlier today, it was quite good, as I was just able to tune the one station at a time. But the selectivity on these sets is a little bit to be desired, as you'll no doubt see, or hear rather.
anything your heart just ask and it'll be yours. Now I'm not trying to never let you go. I made what you want. That's Freddie Lattimore from an album called Slow Down, came out in the States on America last year. It's called All You Need. Coming up from Darlene Love.
Well, there we are. We heard the medium wave all in one, all together by the sound of it. There's the inside of the lid of this little crystal set. As you can see, it's got the same badge as the previous one, the British Thomson Houston Company Limited badge, and also the full instructions for how to tune it and what sort of area you require, and also the tuning range. There we are. That's the little Beiju crystal set by BTH. Brilliant. Right, well here we have the sort of Rolls Royce of crystal sets, the BTH Radiola 1. This one is valve amplified, made in 1923, and it has quite a number of features on it. But it is a real superb, one of the best crystal sets I've got for the domestic side, with twin crystals, as you can see, and a very nice cabinet, mahogany cabinet, which I think all the BTH sets were made with mahogany cabinets. The tuning range is from 300 to 600 meters, and of course it would have a battery. It has a 1-volt battery for the valve, for the filament, Galena Galena crystal detector, and we'll show you a little bit more about this one with some close-ups. Well, here we have the telephone connection, or the headphones in other words, but they call them telephones, the twin crystals here, and the switch for the two crystals, switch from 1 to 2. This is the tuner here, and also the provision for adding the extra coil for the long wave station. That also has on the other tuner, there's two tuners in this, as if it's an RF stage. Also we have up here another provision for adding the extra coil, aerial connection over here, earth, and here we have a rheostat for the filaments, and also the little holes over here so you can actually see the filament glowing in the valve. The accumulator goes across here, and the switch of course for the ranges again. There we are. There's a nice close-up of the twin crystal detector with the two cat's whiskers there. Quite a nice fine adjustment you've got on these. The scales on these sets are made of ivorine. That's this part here. And quite a nice fine adjustment you've got on there. That's tuner B. Here we have tuner A. Same type as B of course, with the bridge across the top for the other coil to go in. There's a shot of the top panel of this receiver. There we are, quite comprehensive instructions for running this crystal set, with all sorts of advice and one thing and another, and the length of aerial they recommend is 100 foot. The valve used in this is a BTH B5 valve, and it has 0.06 amp filament current, what else can I tell you about it? Not a lot. I think the HT runs from about 30 or 40 volts, quite low in fact. There we can clearly see the registration number of this set, 0373, and of course it's type approved by the Postmaster General. Here's the rear of the crystal set with a nice little door which opens so you can get at the battery and at the valve, and of course the leads here for connections. There we are, there's the valve removed. There we are, there's a shot we've got of the inside of the crystal set, and you can clearly see the two coils for tuner A and tuner B. Well, there we are, there's a circuit diagram of the BTH valve and crystal circuit receiver, and it's a reflex receiver. As you can see, the aerial is amplified here, but it also uses it as an LF amplifier and reflected back into it. That's why they call it the reflex circuit. And you've got the tuner A here and tuner B in the anode of the valve. The twin crystals, of course, are over here, switched 1 and 2, and the battery supplies, telephone. Also the rheostat here for the accumulator, so you can vary the volume possibly by altering the filament box. So there we are, there's the BTH Radiola 1, made in 1923, and it sold for £11. That was including the HT battery, so quite an expensive set.